Hi YouTube. I hope you're all doing good. I'm okay. We're in the middle of a snowstorm right now. Maybe not too big of a one, but big enough. Um, yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna make a video today or not. I slid off my porch and hit the side onto my knee, but I caught my body weight on my face on the house last night when I was bringing some wood in. I was tired, I wasn't paying attention, and I went to step up on the porch and it's slippery. We're gonna try and put a roof over it for next year, but because we've both fallen on it. Doug fell yesterday too. I mean, it out in the yard. It's ice underneath the snow is what it is. And I tried to even shovel it and it was so thick. We do have a icebreaker thing too, but I wasn't worried about that last night. Um, I was worried about getting wood in to stay warm. So, I mean, I'm okay, but I did just about knock myself sillier. Um, I thought I broke my teeth or my cheek or and I sort of hurt my arm again, but and it hurts with the damp weather anyway. So anyway, I was debating whether or not to even make a video, and it's like, yeah, I'm okay. I got more wood in today and got some stuff done this morning and went for a walk down to the mailbox, and there wasn't nothing there though because I don't think the mail lady has even come for a couple of days. Yesterday everything was clear, but the day before we had so much snow. The day before that we were just getting dug out from that one with part of a day and now more. So yeah, but I thought, well, I'll just take a walk down there and see. Wasn't nothing there, but so anyway, like I said, I am okay. I am really surprised uh, the resilience of a person's body. That'll always amaze me. I mean, it doesn't always happen that we heal. And like I say, I have injuries that still hurt from even childhood injuries. But yeah, I don't know. I was just listening to called the Global Lane News, and they were talking about how the Vatican has approved same-sex teachings for 4-year-olds. They have a book that they'll be reading to them called "Me and My Shadow," um, like I love her, but she's in the shadow, and to to enhance loving the same sex. They're programming these children, people. Don't you see it? I hope you see it because that's just what they're doing. You know, there's a difference between not hating somebody and not wanting your children to be taught things that go outside of God's law. And I'm going to share this. It's called China's New Wave of Christian Persecution because that's exactly what it is. If you stand up for what you know is going to be good for your family and not cause them distress and confusion and those types of things, you're being labeled certain things. If you say that you don't like a certain demographic of people because they want to control other people. Here's a for instance. Saudi Arabia and Iran or Iran have now gotten together and they're talking peace deals. And Jerusalem, we'll just use that for an example, has a problem with that. Why would they have a problem with neighbors getting along with it, each other because they can't get their fingers in the pie? You know, they don't have control over what these people want to get along. Leave them the hell alone. That's my thoughts on that. It's not that we have any hatred for people of any kind of most people don't. It's that it's just a certain group of people that don't just live in Israel but are found all over the country and in different countries that are correlating a dark cabal about against the other people. I was watching a really interesting Jordan Peterson this morning. He had this reporter man on named Michael that had lived in several different countries, and I think he's a United States citizen, but he lived in like Germany and a few other countries, and Holland. And there was this lady, see if I can remember, Eva. Um, her last name was kind of a hard one. Um, but anyway, and they were talking about the farmers uprising against the government in Holland and in the capital city of Amsterdam and around, in how they're one of the biggest food producers in Europe, and it's only a country, what they say, 18 million people, the size of Indiana, and they're trying to stop the farmers from producing food there so they have control over it. And they want to build what, not just a 15-minute city, but a tri city is what they call it. It was connecting parts of Holland with, like, I think Germany and or something else, coming right from China into their country and connecting like all of it under like a global union type of thing. And underneath certain plans, now what they have recommended, what they want, and I do mean by they is like the people of ill intent. Okay, what if your body burnt more than 2,000 calories a day and you were extremely hard worker or um, special needs or hypertension or whatever the case may be? They want to restrict a person's calories to 2,000 calories a day. Well, typically that's probably not a really big deal. But if you exceed those calories and the state would have control over that, that's a pretty big deal. The same with your income. They don't want you to make too much money. And if you do, they could digitally keep you at a minimum and keep you under control. These things are really big deal, what they're trying to implement, you know. There was, well, see, they can buy farmers out, and that's exactly what they want to do. The government wants the land and control of the land. Like one of the farmers in Holland owned 17 acres of greenhouses. That's a lot of greenhouses. And first, he rented a generator and what was it, like solar power grid stuff where he could sell his energy back to the company. And then he ended up buying like 3 of these generators, and he's able to like regulate it with computers that when the sun isn't shining or whatever, he can turn his generators on, and when it is, he's able to sell the excess electricity that he has. So he's really not so much interested in farming anymore as he was before. The concerns are that they're buying the farmers out, and they're wanting to run people off the land to have total control over the people in every aspect of their lives, you know? And that will include not having your religion if you are, say, Muslim or Christian or whoever you are. That won't be allowed. And China's the playbook for that one. So, yeah, there's some big concerns going on. I couldn't imagine teaching a 4-year-old about same sex relationships. That shouldn't even be an issue in a little kid's mind. You know, that's a major problem on this planet right now that was started around the 60s, was really um, loose and lewd and crude-minded people. Yes, I get a little crude sometimes, and I realize like the title of my video wasn't very nice yesterday, but I'm not out to be very nice to the people that can destroy children. So that, it's not even entering my mind how they feel. I don't care how they feel, because I know what hurts children and what doesn't. And I do know what God expects out of us as parents. So, and you know it too. So, and you do know that. It's not even a matter of your sexual preference. It's a matter of what would you say in front of a child. Isn't that true? They shouldn't even hear anything like that. Not one bit. Oh, I found out I'm not the only woman totally insulted by these men trying to pretend that they're female, because Laura Ingram had an excellent video yesterday that I shared in my community. And she had a woman on there. She's a surfer with one arm. I think her name is Beth. She's not even going to compete in women's sports anymore. Then there was JP Reacts had a really good one where I can't remember if Trump said he'd make a really good coach for a girls basketball team, because he'd get LeBron James, I think he said, if that's the right one, if he's basketball. Well, anyway, he'd get this guy, but he doesn't really like this guy, but he'd get him because he can slam dunk. And a lot of women can't, or women don't typically, not like a man can, he said, but it would be a girls' team with all men on it, and then he'd win, you know. So, yeah, isn't he right about that? So, even if a man's smaller, and I've had like even Doug shorter than me, but like for instance, I had a friend named Gary, and I think Gary was 5'4", and maybe 120 pounds. But he did what they call pulling chain on the oil rig, and his biceps were like my thighs, you know, even for being a little guy. And even bodybuilding women, unless they're taking some performance enhancing drugs, you don't look like that. You know, that's just the way that is. And men do have that testosterone and those capabilities, and they don't have the physical uh, disadvantages that women have, such as, like I say, bleeding once a month. That's blood coming out of your body that your body has to replace. There's another thing for restricting calories. I don't know if some of you, but I know, like, I was low blood iron, and I had to take special stuff to. But yeah, I was there. I had times in my life where I was really bleeding profusely, and a lot of physical injuries had to do with that, and stress would play a role in that. But I'd even eat liver because I liked it, but I know how to make it really well. Um, I don't know. Maybe some other people make it like I do, but I don't know. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. I don't make it much anymore because I'm not supposed to have it, and I don't really like it as much as I used to. But the iron in it after I had had my period, or during, or even right before, was a really good idea. And it has like a lot of magnesium in there and different vitamins that anybody can benefit from. But yeah, I'll tell you how I make my liver that it doesn't taste as gross as just like frying it. First, you take and you put it in a milk bath. First, you chunk it out into pieces about 4 inches around or so, and you slice up an onion, and you put your pieces of meat in that milk bath and get some flour out, salt and pepper. And if you have it, you use bacon grease or fat, but you can use butter or lard or canola oil, or whatever you want to fry it in. But and then, or you fry up pieces of bacon and you can set them to the side. You don't have to have it though. But then you have your onions. You saute your onions, set them to the side. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but that's what makes it more delicious than other people's. So then after you have your bacon fried, your onions sauteed in butter in a separate pan, and you've got your liver in the milk, and you drain it a little bit and dredge it through that flour and fry it in your bacon grease or butter or whatever you're using, and get them brown on each side and put them in a baking dish. Then you take your sauteed onions and put a little bit on each top of each one of them. And the same with your bacon, and you can put a little bacon on the top of each piece. Like, I'm not one that really likes to mix meat flavors, but that's one recipe where I'll do something like that. Because and then you put it in the oven for anywhere up to like about 20 minutes to a half hour, depending on how well you want it done, and heat everything together, and it's awesome. And then you can eat it with ketchup if you like. And I actually like ketchup and mustard with it, or just plain. Or the next day on a sandwich is really good too. But like I say, I don't really like it like I used to. But if a person's going to make it, they should make it. I think like that, unless you just like it anyway. But For people that typically don't like liver, that's a good way to make it. Same with chicken livers. You can make chicken liver pate. That's really good too. You cook up your chicken livers. You actually just boil them and drain the juice off them, and then they usually come in a pound pack. And then you take two hard-boiled eggs and mince them up, and mince up like 2 tablespoons of onion real small, and then you either grind or mince up your chicken livers, and you mix that all up with about a quarter cup of mayonnaise. Then it goes on like you can put it on like toasted bread or brioche toasted or something like that, or crackers or whatever. I used to make that a lot too with chicken livers. And it's good like that. So, anyway, enough of the liver thing. Yeah. In fact, I still would eat a chicken liver. Just plain. They are kind of icky and they taste kind of um like eating iron, you know, because they're just really high in iron, you know. But I haven't had any of them for a very long time either. But yeah, used to make it once in a while, you know. So, excuse me. Um, Lionel Nation has a new channel called Lionel Legal, which I can really appreciate because he's been an attorney for 40 years, and it's good to hear his very informed outlook on our government, you know, and legal matters and that type of thing. It'll be interesting to see what he does on his new channel. He said if we had any ideas to let him know. Well, I don't know because some of my questions might be too politically minded for him and too pointed and too jaded towards the establishment that he probably wouldn't want to cross those lines that I'm willing to cross. But we'll see. I might throw a couple questions at him. Never know. I don't know. But yeah. Oh, and then they're like talking about how in Holland, how they're letting immigrants in a country that's very tiny to begin with, and are trying to force the farmers out of farming. So they're letting immigrants in and kind of diluting their culture as a people. And when you have a communist regime diluting your values as a country, and if your country is based on like if it's founded on God, and then you have these monsters coming in that have no faith in God. They're flat out atheists or demonic. Same difference. Um, because if you're not for God, you are on the other side. You really need to pick because, well, they don't give you a choice. God does give you that choice, but the Communist Party is not going to give you a choice in anything. And I'm trying to prevent that. I'm trying to help prevent that. And everything I talk about is exactly what they're implementing, you know, or trying to. Now the farmers are fighting back, and they drove their tractors down Main Street, which you usually don't drive your tractor on a highway, but to make their point and make their voices be heard, like the truckers did try to do up in Canada, which really didn't get them anywhere. But now they've made it illegal for the farmers to even drive their tractors in a town or a city. So at every turn, they are fighting their own people to become one world government under the um, what would the word be, under the strong arm of the CCP, the iron fist or the hammer and the sickle. So, and it is a fact that the Israelites, I won't even mention their religion, and the CCP are closely related, actual relatives. And this is a plan that, I mean, like Doug and I were talking this morning, and he was trying to say, well, it's something the last 40 years, or people will say the last 100 years. Won't try a couple thousand, and that they have destroyed civilizations over and over and over again to keep control over the people. They've done it before, and we're in the middle of it. And people say a reset, or, you know, the digital currency, or really none of that. None of that in itself is really a major deal. It's the psychological things that are going on that they're teaching the youth that needs to be stopped at every angle. Like they're pushing at every angle, we have to push right back and tell them, no, we aren't going for this. And no, we are not going to let you bring your communist ideas into our country and just fall under your reign. And no, I'm not going to tell my granddaughters that I want them to have mandatory armed force training or any of that. No. Or that they can't believe in God, or they have the threat of losing their lives. No. I am not going for any of this shit. I'm not teaching people that the confusion that is being caused by older people ahead of them is something that's acceptable. None of this is acceptable. So, yeah. But I will share that link, like I said, with that news program. I think you'll find it informative. It's just one more, perhaps, truthful. It's the first time I've ran across them, but and it's supposed to be a Christian-based news broadcasting. Well, I remember there used to be like the 700 Club I used to watch on mainstream media, and that really turned out to be quite a joke. I don't remember the